Hi guys, this is Patrick with Rugged Destinations. Today I'm going to be installing the weBoost Drive Overland kit. It is the most powerful cell booster available for an automobile, and this kit was specifically made for overlanding and off-roading. Since I'm installing it, I figured I would take you guys along and show you how to complete the install yourself. Let's start with an unboxing so we can show you all of the pieces that you'll get in your Drive Overland kit. So inside the box, you will find your Drive Reach booster. This is the brain of the operation. You will also find the Overland antenna for the exterior of your roof, a 13-inch mast extension. You'll find the spring base that adds flexibility to your antenna, the Overland mounting bracket. You'll also find the inside antenna, which mounts on your dash. You'll find an extension cable for connecting your antenna, the stabilization arm that will help hold your antenna's weight when it is in the stored mode. You'll find a power supply should you choose to plug directly into the 12-volt outlet in your vehicle. Side exit adapter with thread locker for your antenna mast. So the first step before we install the antenna is to assemble it. You're going to need 4 pieces to assemble the antenna mast, your exterior antenna, the side exit adapter, and your spring base. We'll route the antenna cable through the antenna mast. Once we've verified the location and mounting position of all of these pieces, you'll want to go through and put thread locker on all of these threads. Next, we'll put our side exit adapter, and then our spring base. The last and probably best piece of this system is the Overland antenna base. Your completed antenna assembly will screw into the base. This base will allow you to mount in a flat position. It will also allow you to mount in a vertical position or in a 45 degree. There are multiple attachments for the bottom of this. We have T-track, which is like what we'll use on our vehicle and on Dan's vehicle today. We also have a tubing style adapter that will allow you to attach the base to a roll bar or round roof rails. And most importantly, when your weBoost system isn't in use, you can lay the antenna down even with your vehicle's roof or roof rack. That way it won't get in the way when you're trying to pull into your garage. So when you're mounting in your antenna, you want it to be on the roof of your vehicle and above any of the accessories that you may have mounted on your roof. It is not advisable to mount it on your hood or bumpers because the glass is very reflective and can affect the reception of the signal. I'm going to mount it right here in the middle of the B pillar, which is the pillar between the front and the rear door. I'm using a T-track system on our roof rack. I've dropped the nuts for the weBoost base in, and now I'll install 2 of the Allen screws with a lock washer. Now that we have our antenna located on the roof, I'll install a piece of the heat shrink onto the cable. We'll add our cable extension. It just screws on to the cable that comes off of the antenna. Once it is tight, I'll put the shrink wrap section over it, and then you can use a lighter or a heat gun to shrink that shrink wrap. So the shrink wrap helps to keep this connection free of water and other debris. It's important that since this is exterior mounted, that we keep it free of contamination, which may affect the signal for your system. So we covered how to mount your exterior antenna to a T-track rack system. If you're mounting your antenna to a ladder or another pole-shaped device, what you'll use is this series of plates and an insulator piece of rubber. And you'll sandwich your roll cage or ladder in between the two plates here with the insulation piece. You'll use 4 of the provided Allen head bolts. Another option for mounting your antenna would be to flat mount it. So you could take the base and bolt it directly to maybe a canopy or another flat surface. You can use the provided pole sandwich plate as a guide for drilling your holes. So you'd place it on the flat surface, mark the holes with a Sharpie or pen, drill your holes, and then just mount your base directly to whatever surface you've chosen. With the antenna mounted on the roof of your vehicle, there are a couple of options on how to complete the rest of the installation. One will require a few more tools and a little more experience. The other will allow you to keep the system very removable from your vehicle. The first option will require hardwiring the power circuit to the booster. The second option will use the 12-volt outlet in your vehicle's interior. However you choose to complete the install, please remember to get the weBoost app, where you can find resources on other installs and you can find technical support. Their technical support is US based, which is very awesome. If you would prefer not to modify your vehicle any more than necessary, you can skip to Chapter 3 now. So the first step in the in-depth install is to route your antenna cable into the interior of the vehicle. On a Jeep Gladiator or a Wrangler, the windshield can be unbolted by removing 4 T40 Torx head bolts from the top of the windshield from the interior of the car. When you move the windshield forward, you can route wires here at the base of the windshield to the interior of the car. So with the window pulled forward, I can route this cable through the seal, and you'll see that it makes its way into the interior. I'll just route all of this cable through, and we can tie up the excess on the inside. With the antenna cable routed to the interior of your vehicle, it is now time to hardwire the power and ground circuit for your booster. You'll need an additional kit from Wilson Electronics. The part number is 950079. Some reasons why you may want to hardwire your booster are to leave the accessory port in your vehicle open, to have a cleaner install with the wires all hidden away, or so that you can make your booster turn on with ignition on and turn off with ignition off automatically. So there are many locations that you can get an ignition power source from to power your booster. I have an S-Pod installed on my vehicle, so I am going to connect it to the S-Pod, the control box here. When I connect the power and ground to the S-Pod, I can then switch it either with the ignition on or off. Another location to get ignition power would be from your fuse box. You could use a fuse tap like this. When you install it into a fuse position in your fuse box, you can then tap that for 12-volt power. All you'll have to do is use a voltmeter and inspect different fuse locations that are not currently being used in your fuse box and verify that one of them has ignition power. So on the Jeep Gladiator, there's a grommet that leads under the dash that is accessible right next to the brake booster here on the firewall. What I'm going to do is run this port that'll go to the booster box. I'm going to run it through the firewall. I'm going to mount our booster underneath the driver's seat. I'll then mount the red and black wires to the S-Pod on switch number 4. So we are going to mount our booster underneath the driver's seat here. I pulled up this trim section, ran the antenna line down the A-pillar here, and as you saw, we ran the power line through the firewall. I'm going to show you guys outside of the vehicle so it's easier for you to see. The power outlet is easily marked 12 volts DC. This plug will plug into there. And then on the other side of the unit, we have outside antenna, very clearly defined. So we'll plug in our outside antenna line there. So with the booster plugged in, I'm going to verify that our power circuit is operational. So I'll hit switch number 4 on the S-Pod, and we have an indicator light showing that the booster is operational. So now I'll show you the simpler and less permanent way to install the Drive Reach Overland. With the outside antenna installed, you need to run the antenna cable into the rig. Let's do that now. These coax cables are pretty tough, and weBoost says that you can shut the cable in your door without hurting it. So for this install, that's what we're going to do. To route the coax cable into the vehicle, I'm going to pull this door seal and we'll put it underneath it. You can tuck the cable underneath the door trim and make your way to the bottom of the driver's seat. We'll mount this booster under there. Now you can connect your antenna cable to your booster at the labeled outside antenna port. Now we can grab your 12-volt power cable and connect it into your booster at the labeled 12-volt DC connector. Then just plug this end into the 12-volt outlet in your car. As you can see, the LED shows that the unit is getting power. So we have our interior antenna here. The interior antenna comes with two attachment options. You have a double stick tape and you have a Velcro. I'm going to go with the Velcro route. I think that applying the Velcro will make it easier in case I need to service it in the future. They send an alcohol pad with the interior antenna so we can clean the surface of both the antenna and the trim panel before we apply it. So we run a phone mount off of the top of our dash. We need to find a location that is somewhere greater than 18 inches, but lesser than 36 inches away from where the phone will typically be. An easy location to mount the interior antenna would be right behind this trim panel here. As I measure up, we have greater than 18 inches, but lesser than 36 to the phone mount. So let's get this carpet taken out of the way, and we'll get the antenna mounted inside of this trim panel. So now that I have the Velcro applied to the interior antenna and to the trim piece that I'm going to mount it on, I'm going to route the cable underneath the carpet to the bottom of the driver's seat. I'll plug in the cable to the booster. So the last step in our install will be to zip tie all of the excess wire. So I'm just going to loop it over as many times as necessary, zip tie, install the booster underneath our seat, and then we'll go test the system. We are roughly 60 miles or about an hour out of town right now. Pretty remote area. It's a beautiful river spot that Amanda and I sometimes come to. We thought this would be a perfect place to test the system because we typically only have 1 bar of LTE here. So let's step inside the truck. We'll test it out. It's the moment we've been waiting for. Time to test out the system. As you can see at this spot, we have 1 bar of Verizon LTE. So we have the weBoost system off. We're gonna try and give our friend Danny Coldstone a call here real quickly and see if we can complete a call with 1 bar of LTE that we have right here. The call failed. So we have our booster turned on now. Let's see if Dan picks up.
Patrick, to what do I owe this pleasure?
Danny, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, man. I got you.
Okay, well, we'll see you later today, okay, bud?
Sounds good, man. I'll talk to you later.
Bye. So as you can see, with the booster turned on, we were able to complete a call from this remote area that previously we weren't able to. So I'm just on YouTube with the booster on right now. I was going to see if we could pull up one of our films.
And the track.
I'll
do
start
it.
walking.
I'll report back.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it. Rugged Destination signing off.
Yep, looks like we can play one of our films. So as you saw today, guys, this is a booster. There does need to be some service. It can't make service out of thin air. But in a spot like this where we had 1, maybe 2 bars of service, we were able to get 3 or 4 bars of LTE. We weren't able to complete calls with the system not on. We were able to complete calls with it on, and I was able to load an 1.5 hour long YouTube film with it on. Although it is a booster and it does have the limitations of there needing to be service, this could be a huge factor for anybody who regularly finds themselves in remote areas. It could be the difference between getting to safety. Say if someone in our family was injured and we needed first responders to come to us, this could make the difference. Yeah, I really like the system. It was not challenging to install. The antenna, being able to put it down and back up when I need to. If I need to go into a parking garage, I can put it down, and then when we're out here, I can put it up. It's convenient and isn't in the way when you don't want it to be. So I highly recommend the unit. You can pick it up at weBoost.com, or you can also find them on Amazon.